Hey everyone, Technical Ajay here, and welcome to Can You Beat Pokemon Emerald with the theme of Only One Execute? I actually got inspired by Mad Rabbit's Only Shedminjaran. Check that out too. Let's get into the rules. In combat, I can only use Execute. Other Pokemon for items are allowed. No glitches or exploits. No items in battle. Only Pokeballs, held items outside the combat are allowed. Let's do this. So right off the bat, I use a Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Tweeko with Execute so that they can do the whole run with it. I replaced Tweeko so that my rival could have Blaziken, the hardest for us to beat. Then I cursed my rival and named my Execute my Pride. After that, I head right towards the first gym battle. Since it was a rock type gym, I get the TM for Bullet Seed and easily sweep through his first two Geodudes, but Nosepass was a bit annoying because she was spamming potions but eventually went down to Bullet Seeds. But we were never in danger of losing to her. Next up was a rival fight with May. Next up was Lotad, who was a easy one-shot with Confusion. Next up was Torchic, who was also a easy one-shot with Confusion. Thanks for Lucky Crit. After that, I arrive in Dewford and head right towards the fighting. First up was Machop, who was a easy one-shot with Confusion. Next up was Metitite, who hangs on by Confusion and sets up a Reflect before going down. And last up was Makuhita, who survives the confusion due to the Reflect, hits me with a weak Vital Throw, and hits with a Citrus Berry before going down to just one more Confusion. Again, we were never in threat of losing to his Makuhita. But the next rival fight didn't go well as we lost to his Skin. We try again and goes way better. First up was Wingull, who hangs on by a sliver of a Confusion, misses Supersonic and goes down to just one more Confusion. Next up was Lombre, who takes just above half damage by a Confusion, hits weak Astonishes before going down to just few more Confusion. And last up was the Skin, who was now a easy one-shot with Confusion. But the next gym didn't go well. We tried at our current levels, we lost. We tried at level 35, we lost again. Finally, we try again at level 40. Managed to one-shot the Voltorb and the Electrike. And next up was the big boy Magneton. Next up was Magneton, and I kept using this Pokemon for many tries. So this time, for my first turn, I go for Sleep Powder and then slowly whittle it down with Bullet Seed, and I go for massive damage. Then he was still sleeping, so I go for Confusion. I hit Confusion twice and take down the Magneton. Then last up was Manectric, who takes massive damage of the Confusion, hits with a Citrus Berry, and just uses Howl and Shockwave before going down to just few more Confusions. By the way, this is the first time I managed to reach his last Pokemon. But the next Maxi fight didn't go well. We lost to his very first Pokemon. We try again. First up is Myclana. So he lowers her attack by Intimidate, so attack is down the whole fight. But it goes down easily in just one Solar Beam. And next up is Camerupt, who takes massive damage by a Confusion, hits me with an Ember, and goes on just 1 HP by one more Confusion, heals with a Super Potion, I hit with again Confusion, and one more Confusion is able to take down the Camerupt. Last up was Zubat, who was an easy one with Confusion. Man, what's going on? First we lose to a trainer, and second one we beat it. Man, what's going on? So sorry guys. I lost the footage of the 4th and 5th gym. I'm so sorry. Let's head ahead. Next up is the rival fight against May. First up is Pelipper, who stalls a turn using Protect. But I managed to hit the next Confusion for massive damage. He hits me with a critical wing attack for a lot of damage, but one more Confusion takes out Pelipper. Next up is Skin, who is an easy one with Confusion. And next up is Lombre, who hits me with a weak Fake Out, takes massive damage of Confusion, hits Swift before going down to just few more Confusions. Next Flying Gym didn't go well. We lost to Altaria. Try again at level 60, and this time we one-shot the Swablu, and next up was Pelipper, who takes massive damage of the Confusion, misses Supersonic. She hits him with a hyper potion before going down to just two more confusions. And then next up was Tropius, who takes massive damage of a confusion, just sets up the sun before going down to just one more confusion. And then next up was Altaria, who sets up 5 consecutive dragon dances and heals with hyper potion, but never chose to attack. If it chose to attack even once, we might have lost that fight. And then last up was Skarmory, who we almost do no damage to, but we eventually take it down by confusions, and it also could not do that much damage to us. It was a 4 shot, so a bit slow, but eventually went down. If the Eldaria chose to attack us, we would have lost readily, like 5 dragon dances and no attack. Was she mad? That AI was bad, like literally very bad. Next was the rival fight against May. It wasn't mandatory, but I still did it just for fun. First up was Tropius, who was a 3 shot with confusion, even though we were almost 30 levels higher than it, but eventually took it down. Next up was Pelipper, who as always stalls out using Protect, but eventually he went down in just 2 confusions. Third up was Ludicolo, who takes just above half damage by confusion, hits weak astonishes before going down to just few more confusions. And then last up was his Combuskin, who is an easy 1 shot with the confusion. Next, I didn't knew that the rival fights in Emerald were so easy, and he doesn't even involve his Combuskin. Next up was the fight against Maxi. He starts off with Mightyana, just Intimidate, so her attack is lowered the whole fight. It itself is not as big as a problem as to go down in just 1 solar beam. Next up is Crobat, who outspeeds me and confuses me with a Confuse Ray. But I managed to land the confusion for massive damage, then hurt myself twice, giving it the chance to fully heal itself, taking damage in the process with air cutters. And then last up was Camerupt, who takes just about half damage by confusion, hits weak embers, and goes down in just few more confusions. It was very close. Next up were the 7 gym leaders, State and Liza, and they don't fight you until you have 2 Pokemon. So I get a magic card for this fight, which just exists and can do no damage to the opponent. I whittle down the clay dog with bullet seeds and take it down with some bullet seeds. And then next up was Solrock, who sets up the sun for me but confuses me in the process. But after it sets the sun, everything was an easy 1 shot with Solar Beam. And luck was on my side because I didn't even hit myself in confusion even once. That's why I easily won the fight without any issues. If Solrock would not have made the mistake of setting up the sun, I might have even lost that battle. Thank you, Solrock. Next up is the fight against Archie. He starts off with Mightyana, which is Intimidate, so her attack is lowered the whole fight. Before going down just 1 solar beam, it confuses me but raising my attack with Swagger. Then next up is Crobat, who outspeeds me and hits me with a massive wing attack for a lot of damage. And we hit ourselves the next one in confusion, but managed to hit the next confusion for a lot of damage. But he hits the super potion next turn before going down to just 1 more confusion. And then last up is Sharpedo, who goes down easily with some bullet seeds after healing itself with some super potions. But it was very easy fight, nothing big to recap. Then it's time for the 8th and final gym leader, and he was a very easy 1 shot with Solar Beam, except for Kindra, but eventually went down to some Solar Beams. Very easy gym. Next up was an easy fight against Wally. Nothing too big to recap, it was very easy fight. Now it was time for the Elite 4. I decided to become level 80 for going into this fight because I was a bit comfortable at that level. He starts off with Mightyana, who has Intimidate, so her attack is lowered the whole fight. But I set up the sun and one shot with a Solar Beam, taking damage by crunch in the process. And next up was Shiftry, who takes a lot of damage by Sludge Bomb, and then he double teams. But fortunately, I don't miss and manage to hit the next sludge bomb for a easy knockout. And then third up was Cacton, who takes massive damage of a sludge bomb, but he heals with a hyper potion. But I managed to hit the next sludge bomb, and then one more sludge bomb takes out the Cacturn. But it lowers my defense before going down by Cotton Spore. And then next up was Absol. So I had to set up the sun back again because the 5 turns were over. So but after that, Absol was an easy one shot with Solar Beam. And then next up was Scrodon, who shared the same fate, going down to just one single Solar Beam. Then it was time for Phoebe, but we just couldn't win against her. I tried many attempts, and finally we won at level 90. This is how it goes. First up was Dusclops, who I know always stalls turn using Protect, so I take the opportunity to set up the sun. Then he protects again. After that, I one shot with the Solar Beam. And then next up was Bennett, who shares the same fate by going down to just one more Solar Beam. Then next up was another Bennett of the same level. So as expected, it was a easy one shot with Solar Beam. And then next up was another higher level Dusclops, who hits me with a weak Ice Beam before going down to just one more Solar Beam. And then next up was the cursed Sableye. I kept losing to these things for many attempts, but not this one. The sun was gone, so it took me 2 turns to charge the Solar Beam, but it missed with a double team. So next turn I don't take a risk and set up the sun, and then after he double teams I don't miss and I managed to take out the next turn. This was the wildest fight ever. Then was the easiest Elite 4, being an easy one shot with Solar Beam, except for the last Glalie. And it was time for the final Elite 4 member, Dwayne, headed off by Shelgon, who I know starts turn using Protect, so I take the turn to set up the sun. After that, I almost one shot with Solar Beam, but take little bit of damage by Rock Tomb. Then he heals with a full restore before going down to just one more Solar Beam. Then next up was Flygon, who was the easy one shot with a Solar Beam. Then next up was Altaria, who takes massive damage of his Psychic. After that, Dragon dances twice before going down to just one more Psychic. Then next up was Salamence, who outspeeds me and hits me with a massive flamethrower, but my Psychic deals a lot of damage. He heals a bit with a berry, and then he flamethrows me and brings me only 37 health, but I managed to hit the next Psychic and take it out. And then last up was Kingdra, who outspeeds me and Dragon dances, but my Psychic deals a lot of damage, bringing it to red health, but he heals with a full restore. Then he attacks me with a body slam, survive with 4 HP and take it out the next turn with one more Psychic. This was very close fight. I can't tell you how I felt while this was going on. It was time for the fight against the champion Wallace. He's a water type trainer, so I set up the sun so that I can hit my Solar Beam and will take less damage. But after that I misclick and go for Psychic, as does not KO the Wailord, and then took 3 turns to KO the Wailord. And he missed Blizzard too. A good start for the battle. And then next up was Tentacruel, who was also a easy one shot with Solar Beam. And then next up was Milotic, who shares the same fate, going down to just one more Solar Beam. And then next up was Ludicolo, who was also a easy one shot with Solar Beam. That was Wishcash, who shares the same fate, going down to just one more Solar Beam. And then last up was Gyarados, who was a very easy fight, just a 2-shot with Psychic. This was the easiest fight in the whole Elite 4. I think for my next one, I will take the type opposite of the champion. It will make it more harder. Anyways, we are now the Pokemon League champion. But as always, there is one challenge left. Steven Stone. And I am sorry to say, but it's impossible to beat Steven Stone without using items. His Skarmory keeps toxicing me. His Metagross in Shadow Wall and Meteor Mash, and they do a lot of damage. Even at level 100, his Metagross two-shots me. I'm so sorry, but it's impossible to beat Steven without using items. After failing my very first Pokemon challenge, I'm not even going to try to beat him with items because I gave the rules I can't use items. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoy, please subscribe, like and comment. Thanks for watching.